Fresh raids by Belgian police as top politicians strongly condemn the corruption scandal shaking Brussels.
Ukrainian President Zelensky speaks with G7 leaders, urging them to help with gas supplies in critically hit Ukrainian regions.
As MEPs continue to reel from the ongoing lobbying scandal, Belgian police have made fresh raids, including one on an European parliamentary office, in a widening of the corruption investigation involving World Cup host Qatar. Belgium's Federal Prosecutor's Office said in a statement that since Friday, the IT resources of 10 parliamentary staffs have been frozen to prevent the disappearance of data necessary for the investigation. A total of 20 searches have been carried out since the beginning of the operations, including 19 in private homes and the one in the offices of the European Parliament. The EU's top politicians have strongly condemned the corruption scandal that is shaking the EU legislative body.
The enemies of democracy, for whom the very existence of this Parliament is a threat, will stop at nothing. These malign actors linked to autocratic third countries have allegedly weaponized NGOs, unions, individuals, assistants and members of the European Parliament.
4 people have been arrested, and among them the European Parliament Vice President Eva Kaili. An extraordinary conference of presidents will be convened today to vote on whether to bring an end to Kaili's term under Article 21.
That Qatar is a front-runner in labour rights.
She has already been stripped of her responsibilities as vice president. Doha has rejected any allegations of misconduct, saying that any association of the Qatari government with the reported claims is baseless and gravely misinformed.
Scandal in the European Parliament. The Vice President of the institution, Eva Kaili, was arrested over the weekend and charged with corruption, money laundering and criminal organisation in connection with a Gulf country. In the midst of the World Cup, all suspicions and the first elements of the investigation point to Qatar. The Greek Socialist MEP is suspected of having used her role in the European Parliament to try to influence decisions in the chamber.
Thank you, President. The World Cup in Qatar is a proof, actually, of how sports diplomacy can achieve a historical transformation of a country, with reforms that inspired the Arab world. ILO said that Qatar is a front-runner in labour rights, abolishing kafala and reducing minimum wage.
Since her arrest, the former TV presenter has had all her assets frozen by the Greek anti-money laundering authority. She's also been suspended from all her parliamentary functions. According to the Belgian newspaper Le Soir, the MEP's entourage is also in the sights of justice. Her partner is under investigation too. Francesco Giorgi is an advisor in the European Parliament and head of the NGO Fight Impunity. The police reportedly found €150,000 in luxury handbags and travel bags at the couple's home. Finally, Eva Kaili's father was arrested outside his hotel in Brussels with a suitcase full of cash. After a night in detention, he was finally released by the police. Another key figure in this case is Pier Antonio Panzeri. The former Social Democrat MEP and president of the NGO Fight Impunity is under investigation. Investigators reportedly found €600,000 in cash at his home. They suspect the former parliamentarian of running a real criminal organisation supported by a foreign state, once again with Qatar in mind. Finally, a 4th person is being prosecuted, but his identity remains secret for the moment. In all, 16 searches have taken place, some of them at the European Parliament, where offices are still sealed by the courts, and another at the home of an MEP.
There was a warm welcome for Ukraine's Prime Minister in Paris as the French government held a dinner ahead of Tuesday's donor conference for the visitors in battle country. The idea is to help Ukraine make it through winter and to fund its post-war reconstruction. Before the Paris summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had addressed G7 nations in a video link spelling out Ukraine's needs.
I urge you to increase aid to Ukraine on the gas issue. Terrorism against our power plants has caused us to use more gas than intended. And that's why we need additional support this winter. We are talking about the volume of about 2 billion cubic meters of gas, something that needs to be purchased.
Speaking after a meeting, G7 chairman and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said leaders had agreed upon protocols to coordinate financial support for Ukraine, but didn't underestimate the challenges ahead.
The reconstruction of Ukraine will be a task for mankind, perhaps comparable to the Marshall Plan after the Second World War.
Ukrainians are having to get used to power outages as Russia continues shelling critical infrastructure. Over the weekend, Russia used Iranian-made drones to hit 2 energy facilities in Odessa, leaving 1.5 million people cut off from electricity. Snow blankets London after the UK was hit by heavy falls and freezing conditions, causing major travel disruption. It came on the eve of Tuesday's national rail strike that is already expected to bring the country to a grinding halt. But some found time to enjoy themselves. In a country more used to heavy snowfalls, blizzards not surprisingly caused expected flight delays at Riga airport. Road travel was also hit. Due to poor driving conditions, so-called free blizzard tickets for car drivers have been introduced in Riga's public transport for Monday and Tuesday. Estonians were also battling the wintry conditions where blizzards brought power cuts to more than 4,000 households in the south of the country. And in Kyiv, workers rushed to clear the streets of the heavy snow in the Ukrainian capital. Russian strikes on the country's energy infrastructure are adding urgency to their work, with the inevitable power cuts that follow the targeted attacks.
There have been clashes in the capital and in Peru's second largest city, Arequipa, as protests continue over the ousting of former President Pedro Castillo. The demonstrators are demanding fresh elections and the resignation of the new president, Dina Boluarte. She took over after Castillo was arrested last week when he attempted to dissolve Congress and rule by decree. The protests came despite Boluarte saying that she would try to reach an agreement with Congress to bring forward elections from July 2026 to April 2024. She said a bill on moving the poll forward would be submitted in the coming days, adding that she was also declaring a state of emergency in restive areas. Boluarte had served as vice president and was quickly sworn in after Castillo's impeachment and arrest last week. He published a letter on Monday in which he claimed he considers himself to have been kidnapped, and he called his replacement a usurper.
Former CEO of failed cryptocurrency firm FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, has been arrested in the Bahamas. Last month, FTX filed for bankruptcy in the US, leaving many users unable to withdraw their funds. Bankman-Fried has been under criminal investigation by US and Bahamian authorities following the collapse last month of the multi-billion euro company. But while Bankman-Fried has acknowledged risk management failures, he has denied accusations of fraud. This year, Bitcoin has lost more than 60% of its value, while other cryptocurrencies have also slumped. The alleged bomb maker in the Lockerbie terror attack in 1988 has appeared in a US court. Abu Aguila Masood is accused of being a Libyan intelligence operative, playing a key role in the attack, which brought down a Pan Am flight over Scotland, leaving 270 people dead. It remains the deadliest terror attack on British soil. Although he's facing multiple charges, prosecutors say that they will not seek the death penalty if he's convicted. The oldest member of K-pop band BTS, Jin, starts his mandatory 2-year stint in the South Korean military today. The 7 members of the band make up one of the country's biggest ever cultural phenomenons, selling out stadiums across the world. The 30-year-old posted a photo of himself with his new military haircut before enlisting on Tuesday. All able-bodied men in South Korea must serve at least 18 months in the military, and all members of the band have said they will do their duty, with tensions rising between South and North Korea recently.